Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. Thank you for joining us and happy St. Patrick's Day. So my name is Anne Marie Medina and I am the Director of Corporate and Community Relations for the University of Arizona Health Sciences here at the beautiful Tucson campus. We also have Caroline Berger, who is our Director up at our Phoenix Biomedical Campus, and Allison Otu, who is our Executive Director. I'd like to share a little bit about health sciences with you. So if we can watch this short video.
Welcome to the University of Arizona Health Sciences. As the statewide leader in biomedical research and health professions training, health sciences includes College of Medicine Tucson, College of Medicine Phoenix, College of Nursing, College of Pharmacy, and the Melanie Zuckerman College of Public Health. Together, they provide cutting-edge health education, breakthrough research, and a diverse offering of community outreach services. At the heart of health sciences, our employees, nearly 5,000, along with 4,000 students, makes us one of the top employers in the state. Our growing research and education programs are offered on 2 campuses, one at the main campus in Tucson and the other in the heart of downtown Phoenix on the biomedical campus. The University of Arizona Health Sciences is a major contributor to Arizona's well-earned reputation as one of the country's top research institutions. And each year, we receive more than $200 million in research grants and contracts, providing vital funding to help address some of our most critical healthcare challenges. We are grateful for this support, which is fueling discoveries and treatments in areas including cardiovascular disease, cancer, Alzheimer's disease, and now COVID-19. The University of Arizona Health Sciences is also in a unique position to affect change in a rapidly shifting healthcare landscape. As part of our strategic plan, we have developed a set of initiatives to reshape the future of healthcare. We are focusing our efforts on 5 important areas: next generation education, precision healthcare for all, making wellness ageless, creating defenses against disease, and new frontiers for better health. Through these strategic initiatives, we have unprecedented opportunities to excel in education and research in more and better ways than ever before, and we invite you to join us on this journey. Please know that our dedicated corporate and community relations team is here to be your connector with health sciences. Thank you for your dedication and for all that you do to make our communities healthy.
So for more information, you can follow us at uahs.arizona.edu, and please follow us on all of our social media platforms. You can follow me on Twitter at @amedinawildcat. If you do follow us or post anything, please make sure you tag those posts with hashtag Wellness Wednesdays AZ. So today we have a wonderful speaker, and I know you'll have lots of questions, so please just leave them in the chat at the bottom of your screen, and we will make sure and ask those questions to our presenter at the end of the presentation. Don't forget, you'll also get that follow-up email. I should send it out Thursday, usually at the latest Friday morning, and it'll have an evaluation. We appreciate your feedback. It'll also have links and resources to everything presented today, a copy of the link to watch this video or share it with others, and links to all of our past presentations. So please allow me to introduce our speaker for today. Today we have Lisa Quale, and she is a health educator senior at the University of Arizona Skin Cancer Institute. Lisa's been with the Skin Cancer Institute since it was established in 2006, and since then she has educated patients in the University of Arizona Cancer Center's high-risk skin cancer clinics and overseen the development of all educational materials, including brochures, videos, and website information on skin cancer prevention and detection. Welcome, Lisa. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having me. Like Anne-Marie said, I've been with the Skin Cancer Institute for 15 years. I love what I do. You know, skin cancer is one of the few cancers that you can really actively look for on your skin, get it treated early before it gets more complex. in a lot of cases, you can also find it, or you can prevent it altogether. Not all cases, but most cases. And so it's been really rewarding for me to work with the Skin Cancer Institute for so long. Let me share my screen here. And so today I'm going to go over some of the ways that you can stay sun safe and hopefully skin cancer free. But before I get into my presentation, I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about the Skin Cancer Institute, just so you have some history. The mission of the Skin Cancer Institute is to prevent and cure skin cancer. And we do this through 4 core areas. We've got our outreach. This includes an annual melanoma walk to raise awareness about melanoma. We've also got the Protect Your Skin program, where we offer sunscreen to businesses that want to offer it to their visitors or their employees, or you can rent out stations and actually have it at outdoor events as well. Education, we have Project SAS, that stands for Students Are Sun Safe, where it's actually a class at the university where students can learn the sun safe messages and about the sun, and then they go into middle schools and high schools and teach the message to the kids there in terms that they can sort of understand it more easily. We've got our research, which includes not only skin or seed grants for new areas of research, but also ongoing projects in detection and prevention. And then our patient care, we have a few high-risk skin cancer clinics where people who had skin cancer or are at high risk for getting skin cancer can go and be treated by dermatologists who really focus on those areas. And why a Skin Cancer Institute? Well, skin cancer is a huge problem in the United States and really, quite honestly, around the world today. And you know, we want to get it under control. There are 5 million new cases. That's all the different skin cancers. It's expensive to treat. $8 billion is spent a year on treating skin cancers. And worst of all, over 7,000 people die every year of melanoma. So we as the Skin Cancer Institute are trying to get those numbers down and arm people with the knowledge that it takes to be sun safe and potentially prevent skin cancer altogether, if not at least find it early when it's more easy to treat and just take care of people. So now that you have an idea about what we do at the Skin Cancer Institute, I want to give you guys some information on how to stay skin healthy. So why do I need to be sun safe? Here you go. We've been using this picture for years. It's a very self-explanatory image for why we need to be sun safe. It kind of shows what the sun does to our skin over time. It's extremely damaging and not attractive. So, and it's all thanks to ultraviolet radiation. It causes wrinkles, sagging skin, sunburns, and most importantly, the skin cancers, some of which, like melanoma, are potentially deadly. So what is ultraviolet radiation, or UVR for short? It's energy given off by the sun and tanning beds. We'll talk about that a little bit more later, but it reaches the earth in the form of UVA and UVB. UVC is up there, but luckily our ozone layer absorbs all of those. So UVA, those are the long rays. Those are the ones that get into glass. They get into a lot of clothing. They're constant year round. They never really change in their intensity, and they reach deep into the layers of the skin. They're associated mostly with tan skin. And then there are the UVB rays, and these are shorter rays. They're easier to block out. They can't get through glass. They can't get through most clothes. Most sunscreens can block them out pretty easily. And they are more intense in the summer than they are in the wintertime. And they generally affect the top layers of skin. So people associate it more with sunburned skin. But, you know, tan is not better than a sunburn. It's all damage, and you want to avoid it all. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about the difference between suntan and sunburn. Suntan is your body's way of trying to block UVR from getting into your skin. skin cells called melanocytes actually produce a pigment called melanin that darkens the skin to try and help block out UV from the sun and tanning beds before it gets deep into your sun and causes cellular damage. So that's what's happening. Your skin is, if your skin has time to react to the sun and make a tan to help block it out, that's what happens. If it can't do that, maybe you're at a higher altitude, maybe you're, fair skinned, so you're not able to make enough melanin to do that blocking, then you get a sunburn. Your skin, it can't make the melanin, and your skin reacts by just burning. All those blood cells come to the surface and start madly trying to heal the damage that you're doing. But again, they're both the skin's natural response, and they both cause skin cancer. So you want to avoid them both. So now that we've kind of talked about some of the basics, I wanted to talk about skin cancer prevention, because this is the good stuff. And we've been teaching the ACE message for years. It's just a really easy way to remember how to stay safe. It stands for avoiding too much sun, cover up, that's with both clothing and sunscreen, and examine your skin regularly to make sure that you catch any spots that could be potential skin cancer. So let's look at these more carefully. So stay out of the sun, especially between the hours of 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. That's when the sun is most intense. And when you are outside, seek shade. You can, hang out under a tree or under the overhang of a building, or you could even carry an umbrella. Those are all great ways to sort of cut down on the amount of UV exposure that you're getting. And you want to avoid tans and burns from the sun and tanning beds. Again, it's all bad. Tanning beds actually give off mostly UVA rays so that it can effectively tan the skin, but it's still damage. And avoid reflective surfaces. And this is anything from water, glass, sand, cement, the granite they use for landscaping around Arizona. It all intensifies your exposure. And I picked this picture specifically because you've got this family, they're trying to do what's right. They're in the shade under their big umbrella, but look at what's around them. They're surrounded by glass, or they're surrounded by sand and water, and it's just bouncing the ultraviolet radiation into their nice shady area. So you always want to be mindful of those pesky reflective surfaces. The C in the ACE message stands for cover up. You want to wear long sleeves, long pants, darker colors, tighter weaves. Those are a good way to go. You can actually find clothing that's been treated. It's called UPF. It's kind of like SPF of sunscreen. It's ultraviolet protection factor for clothes. So look for UPF 30 or higher. Most of it's about 50 these days. You can also find something called SunGuard. It is something that you can wash into your laundry that gives it a little bit more sun protection. I think it works for about 30 washes. I don't know if they still have it at the store, but I do know you can still find it online. You want to wear a wide brimmed hat that covers the top of your head, shades your ears, your face, your neck. We recommend a 3-inch brim for the best protection. And wear sunglasses. In this day and age, you can find good sunglasses anywhere. You don't have to pay a lot of money for them. You just want to look for a sticker or a tag or something that says 99 to 100% UVA and UV protective. You want both protection from those A and B rays. And use a broad spectrum sunscreen. That means it protects against both the UV and the UVB. Sunscreen or an SPF of 30 or higher. And don't forget a lip balm. A lot of sunscreens, they're water-based. They don't play nicely with the mouth. You want to get something that's a little bit thicker, a little bit waxier, more water resistant for your mouth. And the E stands for examine. You're looking for new or changing spots or moles. You want to start at the top, work your way down, look everywhere you have skin, your armpits, the bottoms of your feet, anywhere you have skin, you can get skin cancer. And using a hand mirror and a full-length mirror in a well-lighted room works really well. It takes some practice. It's a little weird at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's a pretty good way to check things. And if you have somebody who can look at, the hard to see areas, that works too. You can take pictures of things. There are all kinds of ways to kind of check all your skin surfaces. And if you see something unusual, you want to go and see your healthcare provider, or better yet, a dermatologist. They're more trained to know what to look for. They also know how to treat things on the spot, whether you need something biopsied, or they've got the special tools to kind of see suspicious lesions or spots better. And consider having a dermatologist check your skin regularly. Depending on your level of risk, they might want you to come in every 6 months if you're at high risk, to every 2 years if you're not at particularly high risk. And I will say, this is a good time to bring up, don't delay any medical exams during the pandemic. They're doing everything to make sure that it's safe and that you're in a good place. So I'm not going to spend too much time on non-melanoma skin cancers. Those are the basal cell and the squamous cell, just because it's better to just go in and have a dermatologist look at them. Sometimes they don't even know what kind it is until they biopsy it. But I will say the basal cell, those are the most common. They're very slow growing, and they generally occur on sun-exposed areas. But even though they're slow growing, they can be very disfiguring. A lot of people get them on their noses or near the eyes, and you end up having to have them removed, and they can just, be disfiguring to your face. Squamous cell is the second most common. This one can actually spread. It's not super aggressive generally, but it can spread to other parts of the body and make treatment more complicated. So you definitely want to catch that one early as well. And again, it happens on mostly sun-exposed areas. And then melanoma, this is the one that I feel like you're really looking for when you do a self-skin exam, because it's aggressive, it's fast-growing, and if you don't catch it early, it can be very life-threatening. So we're going to go over what those look like a little bit more than the non-melanoma skin cancers. We've got the ABCDEs of melanoma, and that's a good way to remember kind of what you're looking for. So asymmetry. If you can't draw a line down the middle and have both sides look essentially the same, it could be a problem. Maybe one side is lopsided or it's a different color. So you really want that asymmetry. Borders, you want things that have nice, clean, round borders. Anything irregular like scalloped edges or smudgy or jagged edges, those are all things that raise a red flag. Color, I've heard it all. People will say my melanoma was purple, it was black, it was white, it was, blue, or variation in color too. You can have one part it's sort of a patchy color. So that's something to look forward to or look for. And then the diameter, anything bigger than the head of an eraser, you really want to keep an eye on. Moles are generally kind of small, but the bigger they get, the more problematic they could be. And then evolving is kind of a catch-all for everything else. It's talking about, maybe a mole that you already have that starts to change. Maybe it gets bigger. Maybe it starts to change color, but it can also talk about, a spot that you've had that, starts to itch or bleed, or, maybe it crusts over, or anything that basically makes you raise your eyebrows and go, oh, I don't know if that's right. Always have it looked at. You always want to go in and see somebody if you have something unusual like that. So I want to talk more about sunscreen, because this is where people have the most questions, is about sunscreen. There are basically two types. You've got your organic sunscreens. These are the chemicals. They absorb into the top layers of the skin and work to neutralize ultraviolet radiation before it can cause damage to the skin. And then your inorganic sunscreens, and those are the physical barriers, the minerals, and those act as more of a layer on top of your skin that works to reflect and sort of scatter ultraviolet radiation before it can even get into your skin. And the organics take some time to spread into the skin and do what they need to do. The inorganics, since they're a layer on top of your skin, they work pretty quickly. They don't take so much time. And all sunscreens are not created equal. You want to look for one of these ingredients in your sunscreen for it to be truly broad spectrum. And that's what I was saying with the UVA and UVB protection. You need one of these ingredients in your product. So avobenzone, titanium dioxide, or zinc oxide. This is, again, what makes things truly broad spectrum. And so avobenzone, that is one of the organic chemical sunscreens. It's really good at absorbing UVA light, which is kind of unusual. Most sunscreens are good at blocking out or neutralizing the UVB, but this one is good with UVA, not so much with the UVB. So generally what they do is they combine it with an ingredient that is good with UVB. And that's why you have a lot of products like Neutrogena has Helioplex, or Banana Boat, I think, has Avo Triplex. That's just their way of saying, you know, we've got avobenzone, but we've combined it with a UV absorber to make it truly broad spectrum. And because avobenzone is a chemical sunscreen, it sort of absorbs into the skin, it can be irritating. I've heard people say that it's, you know, a little bit more irritating to the skin. Zinc oxide and titanium dioxide are both the inorganic physical sunscreens. And again, they create a barrier on top of the skin that reflects and scatters the sun away. And I always look for higher percentages. I mean, you can find anything from 2% to 25% in products. I generally look for about 5%. That's a pretty good place to stop. The higher the percentage of zinc or titanium, the more sort of opaque, white, pasty it gets, and it's a little bit harder to rub in, it's a little bit thicker, but anything 5% is pretty good. And this one is what they use in a lot of the baby products, a lot of the sensitive skin formulations, because since it's a topical, you know, physical sunscreen laying on top of the skin, it's less likely to irritate the organic chemical sunscreens. And I've always really liked this just because it shows sort of the different levels of coverage you get from different sunscreen ingredients. And like I said, as you can see, UVB, they've all got it figured out. You know, that one is not hard to block out, except for the avobenzone. Again, it's weird. It's good with UVA, not UVB. And also a Camzol, that's also known as Mexeril. I didn't bring that one up as a good option just because you can't find it in a whole lot of products right now. The patent may be owned by L'Oreal, so you can find it in some, but you can find plenty of good sunscreens that have one of the other of the three ingredients. And you can see down here, zinc oxide, it's a powerhouse. It's good at blocking both just completely. So that's good. So I don't want to spend too much time on SPF. It stands for sun protection factor. But what I do want to say is that as of now, it still only refers to UVB protection. I don't know if they're going to change that. I sure hope they do. I want it to just be for the whole spectrum, UVA and UVB. But for right now, it's only talking about those burning rays. An SPF of 15 protects about 93% or blocks out and neutralizes 93% of UVB, and an SPF 30 protects against 97. So there's a big jump there, and that's why we just recommend 30 or higher. Past 30, you're getting little increments of protection, but you definitely want to look for something with SPF 30 or higher. And sunscreen application. There are lots of rules to applying sunscreen, and I want to go over them quickly just so you realize how many rules there are. You always, again, want to use the broad spectrum, SPF 30 or higher. Wear it every day you're going to be outside, even if you don't really think you're going to be outside. Every minute you're out there, you know, walking to your car, going to lunch, it adds up. All that time adds up, and you want to apply it 20 to 30 minutes before you go outside. Again, this is more important for the organic chemical sunscreens, but you might as well just do it with both. It just takes some time to really settle in and become effective. And you want to use it year round, you know, whether it's sunny or cloudy or summer or winter, especially those UVA rays, they're always out there and they're always doing damage to your skin. And remember that you're getting UV exposure even, when you're in your car, or if you're sitting next to a window that hasn't been treated, some of that ultraviolet radiation is getting through. So you want to use it all the time, even if you're not going to be in direct sunlight. And the rules go on. You want to reapply every hour and a half, 90 minutes. When you're out in the sun, if you're literally, going to work, working all day, and then coming home, you don't have to worry about reapplying. But the longer you're out in the sun, the more your sunscreen breaks down. So definitely if you're, hanging out outside, going for a walk, anything where you're outside for more than 90 minutes, you want to reapply. And this goes for the water resistant products too, especially since people generally use the water resistance when they're swimming or doing a lot of sweating. And every time you do that, every time your skin gets wet, it's washing away some of the sunscreen's effectiveness. So you want to reapply. And don't forget those areas that are often missed, like the ears, the lips, the tops of the hands, the bottoms of the feet. You want to make sure that you get those areas too. And apply it generously. And I'm not a fan of the dose thing. They've got the 1 ounce for adults, but that varies so much. You've got, everybody's different, and the amount of clothes you're wearing is different. So this is not a great rule for everybody. I tell everyone, just put a good layer on, a nice layer. You can even do it in two doses, put one on right away when you get up in the morning, and then one before you go outside. That way you get a nice even layer, and you're not probably going to miss any spots. You won't get that little mystery sunburn spot where you didn't get your sunscreen the first time. So now that I've talked a little bit about the basics on how to protect yourself, I want to address a couple of topics that are really kind of big right now in the news. Last year, the FDA proposed a new rule about sunscreen, and this rule raised a lot of eyebrows because it made people think that the sunscreen they had been using forever was somehow bad for them. And that's not what they're saying. They're just basically saying more research needs to be done on a lot of sunscreen ingredients to be able to say, yes, it is safe, and yes, it is effective. So they've got, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, it's an acronym for generally recognized as safe and effective. So there are 2 sunscreen ingredients. It's the zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. You're probably noticing a pattern here that those are kind of the 2 gold standards, and they're considered GROS, I think is the way you say it. There are 2 other ingredients that are not GROS, but nobody even uses those ingredients in sunscreen anymore, so it's not really an issue. And then the other 12 ingredients that are in most sunscreens today have insufficient data regarding their safety and efficacy. So again, they're just asking companies to do more research to be able to say, yeah, no, these are good too, and everybody is protected. And another big topic, and this one comes up quite often, and rightfully so, it should. It's the idea of sunscreen being healthy for us. And it's been an ongoing concern, and it's basically about the absorption of sunscreen into the body, whether it's through the bloodstream. They found it in the bloodstream, they found it in our urine, and it's basically because chemical sunscreens, they're small molecules. They can get deep into the skin and reach the bloodstream and leave trace amounts. But really, so far, I mean, this issue has been coming up a lot over many years, and they've never really found evidence that shows that it is a problem. But there's lots of research showing that ultraviolet radiation is not good for us. So I kind of feel like the benefits of using sunscreen outweigh the potential risks. But certainly, I mean, if you're concerned about it, sun avoidance, covering up with clothing, using the zinc oxide or the titanium dioxide, which are considered to be pretty safe, that's a way to go. I personally, I stay out of the sun. I cover up as much as I can. I use sunscreen on areas that I can't cover up, and just kind of go from there. That's pretty much all I had to say. I want to thank everybody for coming today, And certainly you can go to our website and see more. We've got a very comprehensive website with information on all of this stuff online. Or you can email me any questions that you have as well. And thanks for inviting me for Wellness Wednesday today.
Thank you so much, Lisa. Appreciate it. I do have one question that popped up in the chat. So if you want to stop sharing your screen, we can be able to see each other. And someone was asking, what's the best type of sunscreen for swimming outdoors in the pool?
For swimming out, well, see, now that is kind of a personal preference, but I would say my recommendation would be to use something that is definitely stated as being water resistant. Again, nothing is waterproof, but water resistant, something that's kind of thick. I would recommend either the zinc oxide. Actually, I'd recommend the zinc oxide, or something that has zinc oxide in it. And then again, you just have to remember to reapply. You got to reapply it every time you get out of the water. You know, whether or not you towel off or not, you want to just make sure you have a really good layer on if you're swimming.
Great.
Because not only are you getting wet, but you're surrounded by a reflective surface. So you're kind of getting a double whammy there too.
Another question was, what are your thoughts on sunscreen in makeup?
That's great. You know, for one thing, a lot of the sunscreen that's used in makeup is the physical barriers, the titanium dioxide, the zinc oxide. So those are great. I wouldn't use them as a end all be all for if you're going to be outside for a long period of time. But, you know, if you get up in the morning and you get ready for work and you go to work and you're pretty much inside all day, and then you go home, you know, those powders or foundations or something like that with sunscreen in them are definitely going to be adequate. But certainly if you're going to be outside, being active, you know, and really just being out there with no hat, no covering up, you always want to use actual sunscreen.
Great. Well, those were all the questions we had. So much detail was in your presentation that I think that you answered them all without people having to ask. So thank you so much, Lisa. We really appreciate your time, and take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and go back to sharing my screen, and we'll talk about what's coming up next. Again, a big thank you to Lisa for joining us today. And next week, we have another wonderful presentation. Very, very interesting. We have Todd Vanderhaa, who is the co-director of our University of Arizona Health Sciences Comprehensive Pain and Addiction Center. And he is going to be doing an overview of the novel targets, molecules, and therapies that they've discovered by himself and other faculty members that help alleviate chronic pain while reducing the use of opioids and or inhibiting the addiction profile of opioids. So his presentation is going to include studies that have gone on from preclinical research all the way into the clinical trials. He's also going to include some things like light therapy, and also talk about the use of novel cannabinoids, which I can't even say that word, but I'm sure you know what I mean. So it's going to be a very interesting topic, because I know there's a lot of people that suffer from chronic pain of some sort. So this will be very interesting to see what they're doing there. So again, on behalf of all of us here at the University of Arizona Health Sciences, thank you for joining us today. And as always, bear down, mask up, and as soon as you can, vax up. We'll see you all in 2 weeks.